Hi, my name is Felicia Rollerson. I will be doing my windshield survey community assessment PowerPoint for the community Elkins Park, Pennsylvania, and the zip code is 19027. So just a brief introduction to Elkins Park, Pennsylvania. It is a small suburb right outside of Philadelphia. The resident population of this county is around 750,000 residents. It is ranked 67 out of all the places in the United States to live. Elkins Park has a total of 19,110 people, and of those residents, there are 9,019 males and 10,091 females. Elkins Park has one of the top-ranked school districts, the Cheltenham School District. There are 286,098 households in Elkins Park, and families make up 198,000 of those households. The median age of the residents in Elkins Park is 40 years old. This is a majority of the reason why I decided to go with the middle-aged population. Elkins Park has a melting pot of ethnicities that includes Caucasian, African American, Native Americans, Alaskan, Asian, and multiracial. The religions that are in Elkins Park are very diverse. The large percentage of the population is the middle-aged adult. Majority of the residents are well educated and employed. There are numerous amounts of occupations that exist in Elkins Park, which include service sales, office jobs, and healthcare management. And there's evidence of stability within the households and of the housing market. In Elkins Park, Pennsylvania, the median age of the residents is 40 years old. The age compositions include 0 to 4, 1,937. Ages 5 to 17 is 5,630. Ages 18 to 24 is 4,709. Ages 25 to 34 is 4,095. Ages 35 to 44 is 4,189. Ages 45 to 54 is 5,329. Ages 55 to 64 is 4,972. Ages 65 to 74 is 2,701. And ages 75 and greater and older is 3,231. And out of all, there are majority more females than males. The birth rate to death rate ratio is 9.3. The racial and ethnic composition in Elkins Park includes 51.91 of Caucasian, 35.37 of African Americans, 0.27% of Native American or Alaskan population, 8.59 of Asian population, and 2.79 multiracial population. In terms of ethnicity, there are 3.90 of Hispanics and 96.10 of non-Hispanics. The average temperature in Elkins Park is 52.39 degrees Fahrenheit. The heating of the Elkins Park area is $247.80, and the cooling cost is $82.21. The quality of housing is very good in Elkins Park. The median home in Elkins Park is around $241,900, and the home appreciation within the last 10 years has been negative 10.72%. Elkins Park is very accessible to public transportation. This includes the SEPTA bus, regional rails, Warminster lines, and the Trenton-Lansdale line. The population source of water is located in Bryn Mawr. It's called Aqua America, which is a water and wastewater utility company that serves about 3 million people in Pennsylvania. And last but not least, 51.9% of the homes in Elkins Park have been built between 1950 to 1989. So they are generally older homes, well constructed. And Elkins Park houses 37.9% of renters and 62.1% of homeowners. The subpopulation that I will be addressing in this PowerPoint are the middle-aged working adults who live in Linwood Garden apartments. Based off of the windshield survey, a lot of the residents that live here are working adults. I see a lot of them at my son's bus stop, in addition to just in brief passing, at the pools, at the gyms, at the supermarkets. So that's the population that I decided to go with. So this population, or the Linwood Gardens, is property of on 122 acres. It houses a wide array of residents from young to old. This apartment complex offers resort-like amenities and abundance of opportunities for recreation, such as 3 pools, a clubhouse, a gym, laundry center, baseball courts, tennis courts, and a dog park. Um, the resident population of the county is 750,000. I believe when I spoke with the residential life a representative, she told me that there were about 30,000 people within this area, but she could not give me an exact estimate on how many people currently resided in Linwood Gardens properties. The living conditions has a big impact on the community because it is inclusive of many factors that contribute to health and stressors such as occupation, income relation, status, etc. Economic status influences the ability of residents to provide for basic necessities and to gain access to health services. This community is very culturally diverse in the Linwood Garden Complex. They have Caucasians, African Americans, Native Americans, Asians, and multi-race. So first I will start out with the highlights of Linwood Gardens properties. 51.99% of the adults in the community have a 4-year degree or graduate degree, and 89.3% of the residents are in white-collar professions. The other professions that are presented include 12.35 in office and administrative support, 12.22 in healthcare, and 11.42 in management occupations. Only 4.5% of the population is unemployed, which is a direct reflection of how employment-driven the population is. Work, just a brief citation, work has a significant influence on population health and health inequalities because work environments involve exposure to many factors that may potentially affect health. So the overarching theme in Elkins Park is family cohesion, with 7,063 of the residents being married, 4,820 whom have never married, and 1,000 being divorced or separated. Another citation that marital status has a large impact on community health because generally speaking, married individuals have lower death and illness rates than those who are unmarried. Therefore, information about marital status in the population can provide clues to overall health status. The median household income for the residents of Linwood Gardens is around $67,000, while the average household income in Elkins Park is around $107,000, making the average household expenditure very high. Continuation of the highlights of Linwood Gardens. One of the predominant reasons for moving to the Linwood Gardens apartment complex was to benefit from the academic progression and quality education the Cheltenham School District provides. Compared to the adjacent city of Philadelphia, which is literally probably a block away, they had been in poor standing and had multiple budget cuts. So families were looking to move out of the city in order to get a better quality education for their children. So just some quick stats on the school district. Cheltenham Township schools are rated 24 out of 497 as most diverse school, 51 out of 497 as most rated teachers in Pennsylvania, and 49 out of 497 best schools in Pennsylvania. The student to teacher ratio is 13:1, and the total expenses per child is about $22,000. In addition to that, the Linwood Gardens apartment is also in a centralized location. A few blocks away, they have Cheltenham Mall, which is actually under construction, but it features a lot of attractions like Chick-fil-A, McDonald's, Wendy's, Chili's, Fresh Grocers, ShopRite, Pizza Hut, Domino's, Popeyes, pizzerias, Stop and Goes, and delicatessens. Cheltenham Mall should be remodeled by the end of this year, but it's supposed to be bringing a movie theater, a bowling alley, and so there are plenty of things going on in the area to attract, more residents and to get the residents that are currently here something to do and to keep them active. From my windshield survey and from online assessments, I couldn't really find a specific number on the vacant properties, but overall, a brief survey, I couldn't see any within this proximity. Majority of the homes seem to be in very good condition and have been upkept very well. As far as the Linwood Gardens goes, management is always making expansions and upgrades. In fact, after asking the residential life service, she said that an average tenant stays 3.5 years or longer at this property. So now let's get to the negative aspects of the community of Linwood Gardens. Initially being a once quiet and serene community, it has become more urbanized with increased drug traffic and crime driven due to the increased popularity of cost of the Linwood Gardens and of the attraction to the school district. The overabundance of school-aged children, crime, and increased vandalism. It depreciates the area quite a bit. It has caused some unneeded stressors to the residents and a little bit of lack of residential cohesion. I see that just by talking or in commute, a lot of the residents don't really get along, especially if the younger kids and families that don't have children, there could be some community rifts and things like that. And just a brief citation here. Not only does corruption affect economic development in terms of economic efficiency and growth, it also affects equitable distribution of resources across the population. So that could include income inequalities and resulting in lower levels of human development. So the chance of becoming a victim of either a violent crime or property crime in Elkins Park is 1 in 42 based off of the FBI crime data. Relative to Pennsylvania, Elkins Park has a high crime rate that is 82% of the state's cities and towns of all sizes. And another citation, exposure to violence can increase the likelihood that young people will perpetrate gun violence, and the availability of alcohol in disadvantaged neighborhoods can influence its use among young people, affecting rates of alcohol-related traumatic injury. A continuation of the negative aspects of the community. Although the school district has been a joy of living here, the negative aspects continue. Because of the increased access to fast food restaurants, the residents of Linwood Gardens are overly exposed to poor choices of meals. I've spoke with multiple residents of this property, and a lot of us order out because we're working or we're getting off late and things like that. And there are an abundance of fast food chains within walking distance, so it kind of distracts you from home cooking a meal or getting prepared food that is healthy for you and your family. The consumption patterns of the community seem to be high in fast food from the obvious long drive-through lines and the amount of people who are working full-time schedules with minimal time to prepare home-cooked meals. It has been known that a population that consumes a high amount of fast food is equated to more health problems. Food prepared at home is less likely to contain levels of phthalates, chemicals linked to fertility problems, pregnancy complications, and other health issues. Lower availability of fresh produce combined with concentrated fast food outlets and few recreational opportunities can lead to poor nutrition and less physical activity. Last but not least, on the negative aspects of the community continued. Although the physical environment of the Linwood Gardens complex is very appealing to the eye, the drawbacks of the water supply is inadequate. The water quality in Elkins Park has ranked 57 on a scale of 100, which is the measure of watershed quality, not the exact water that comes from the faucet. The water in Linwood Gardens I have been told about and I've witnessed firsthand. It has a bitter taste, and And some drains may be a faint smell, and this causes a lot of the residents that I've spoken to and myself to consume bottled water. Um, a citation regarding fresh water that some people may be more vulnerable to contaminants in drinking water than the general population. So it is particularly important to be, to monitor the water quality, etc. It is imperative for the residents of Linwood Gardens Complex to maintain community relations and to advocate for one another. As the increased traffic from Philadelphia mixes in and it becomes more socially complex, it is important to express the need for increased surveillance and increased sound meetings to address any community issues that may arise. To promote change within the residents in order for them to continue to separate themselves from Philadelphia and not to follow behind the crowd with their behavior or with mischief. A citation: if structure is weak, events like a decline of the industrial base, an influx of poor people, or the spread of criminal organization are more likely to disrupt communities. Then, if neighborhoods and families cannot form a second line of defense, individuals may respond with behaviors that are ineffective or deviant. So, based off of that assessment, as well as my windshield survey, I have 3 community nursing diagnoses. My first one, which is level priority high, would be readiness for enhanced nutrition. This will be related to the community's increased attitude towards consumption of adequate foods and fluids, their willingness to enhance nutrition, safe preparation, and the regular consumption of foods. My second level of priority, which will be moderate, the nursing diagnosis would include ineffective community coping related to the increased crime in an urbanized population due to the deficits in community participation, increased community conflicts, increased social problems, and additional community stressors. An example: exposure to violence can increase the likelihood that young people will perpetuate perpetrate gun violence, and the availability of alcohol in disadvantaged neighborhoods can influence its use among young people, affecting rates of alcohol-related trauma injury. My last but not least, the level of priority would be low, and this will be readiness for enhanced resilience. This is related to the adverse situation of the new urbanized population and the need for the population to be strengthened, as evidenced by the population's access to resources, demonstration of a positive outlook, and enhanced resilience shown by the community. This is the most important diagnosis, but this is the least important, but still important because it just promotes continued strength within the community. I will engage the community to take responsibility for their actions, use effective coping strategies, and make progression towards community goals. So for the first nursing diagnosis, readiness for enhanced nutrition, related to the community's increased attitude towards consumption of adequate foods and fluids, willingness to enhance nutrition, safe preparation, and the regular consumption of foods. They regularly consume foods. It may not always be nutritious, but I can see that the outlook would be that they're ready to enhance their nutrition. Some nursing interventions that I would include within this community would be the recommendation of consumption of breakfast every morning and to decrease their intake of sugars. Also, I would educate the community on eating regularly, consuming adequate food choices, and the importance of preparing foods at home. I would also encourage the utilization of the gym membership that is included with the rental payments each month for routine physical activity and strength. In addition, there is a pool that can be accessed, and it's also a monthly fee that you pay with the rent. Last but not least, I would recommend increase of water consumption of at least 2,000 milliliters per day. There is an issue with the water. Some people say it is, some people say that it's not, but I would monitor the water for odor and color and run the tap water for at least 30 seconds prior to using it. I'm going to cite that I was reading an article that said that the water faucet is prone to different chemicals from waste such as pH chemicals, metals, and bacteria. So just kind of running the tap water for 30 seconds flushes it out. And that could be the reasoning behind the taste and quality. And I guess it's all just public opinion or preference. My second nursing diagnosis, ineffective community coping related to the increased crime in urbanized population due to the deficits in community participation, increased community conflicts, increased social problems, and additional community stressors. The nursing interventions that I would include would be encourage spirituality as a source of support for coping. I would encourage community activities to strengthen minds and eliminate friction and divide. I would encourage moderate aerobic exercises. I would teach the community to problem solve. I would have the community define the problem and cause, then list the advantages and disadvantages of the options. And this will help to support their coping strategies. I would also teach community relaxation techniques. And I would have the community to discuss their available community resources, such as law enforcement, if indicated or needed for vandalism or any potential threat that someone could feel, or even just for safety measures. Residential services, which they can be accessed 24/7, and also residential security. Last but not least, my nursing diagnosis readiness for enhanced resilience related to the adverse situation of the new urbanized population and the need for the population to be strengthened as evidenced by population's access to resources, demonstration of a positive outlook, and enhanced resilience shown by the community. The nursing interventions that I would include would be community engagement with town hall meetings and residential meetings within the Linwood Gardens complex. This will be where residents can focus on the positive in the midst of the adverse situations. It is good to have meetings on a routine basis because this way it'll buffer against life adversity and remind the residents of why they initially moved into the community, and it allows them time for feedback and questions and open-ended conversation. Next, I would offer a suggestion box that residents can fill out for suggestions, complaints, and positive feedback if they wanted to. Third, I would make sure the community is aware again of their multiple resources. Fourth, I would encourage mindfulness, consciousness, attention, and awareness of self within the community. And last but not least, I would promote engagement and positive social activities within the community. And this is my reference page. Thanks for viewing.